what's going on regarding the tensions in the Middle East. Regardless of everything, I still try to keep everyone up to date on what's going on with the news. So, Syria has been attacked and multiple civilians have been killed. Many have been injured. There have been several casualties reported, to say the least. But what happened was, basically, all of a sudden, the Kurds were attacked, which was supposed to be a key ally in Syria of the United States. I believe it was Syria. And yes, Syria's Kurds were attacked, and they are one of our allies. Well, all of a sudden, Turkey decides to start bombarding and attacking Syria. Right after the president states that he's going to take some troops out of Syria, well, then he changed his mind. He said, fine, I'll keep the troops on the ground, but this is not my problem. And they're making him very frustrated, understandably so. He was saying that, listen, you don't understand. He's like, what I say goes. What I say is, basically. And basically, you don't defy the president, basically, is what he's stating. But Republicans, they told Trump, you're making a bad decision by pulling away from them and not helping them. And but he was stating, he knows what he's doing with this, and that everyone's going against him in every single conceivable possible way. So he's like, why should I even bother with that? Well, then, right now, they said, is it possible that Russia, Syria, and Iran make allies and attack against and retaliate against Turkey? It's possible. Who knows? But right now, they're bombarding and attacking with missiles back and forth with a barrage of missiles. And the president stated, basically like, well, you're on your own right now, but he's leaving the troops over there. There could be casualties of the troops if that's the case. I don't know. But let's see what else they're stating about this. So Turkey, let's see. The United States allies. The Kurds are a United States ally, a key U.S. ally in Syria. And they claim it was from a legitimate security concern, and that's why they attacked Syria. And they're saying, please, the U.S., you can't abandon your connection with the Kurds. And there's all of this battle back and forth saying that the Islamic State fighters are ramping up in the area, so they're trying to bomb them and destroy them, while they claim that they had good reason to attack Syria. And Trump's like, well, the president said, just do your thing, you're on your own. And they're like, well, you can't do this to our allies. And so Russia calls up on the phone, basically, and says, look, this has got to stop. All it takes is one phone call now to kind of sway things and change things around. But that he made a phone call, Putin makes a phone call stating, we're going to stop this. And so we'll see how this goes. That was just a few hours ago. It was stated that President Putin of Russia called the leaders of Syria, Iran, and Turkey, but he directly messaged Turkey and told them that if you don't stop, we're going to stop this. He said, let's continue diplomacy. Basically, Putin made a phone call earlier, several hours ago, telling Turkey that he would continue diplomatic relations with them as long as they at least agreed to a few of the terms of agreement from Syria, Iran, and Russia, those three key allies together. And he stated that if you agree with a few of the terms, we will continue. Listen, we're willing to continue our diplomatic association, our diplomacy, basically. We're talks, peace talks or whatever. We'll continue our political and economical talks, basically, on the policies and the economy and everything. They said, but the president of the United States and some others even agreed that Like, if you don't follow what we say, we'll financially ruin you. He did say that. He's like, well, we'll let you know, your economy is going to collapse if you don't follow what we say. What he says goes, and that if you don't do the right thing, your economy is going to collapse, like other countries did that made the wrong decision. But they took the words, I guess, out of context, as the media usually does. But they took several of his words out of context, except for the ones that he was saying. You know, they call him the Don, so they that's an interesting term there. And you know what that means, like the boss there. But the thing is, he had a peace deal written. He tried to create diplomacy and peace over there. He tried to bring more of a unification than any previous administration had done in more of a sensible way. But they just didn't have it. They didn't listen. And he's like, fine, you know what? If you're not going to listen to me, then forget it. Fall apart. It's your own choice. It's your stupidity, I suppose, the way he was looking at it. Basically, that's what he was stating. Putin calls them up and says, we'll continue diplomacy and diplomatic talks if, you agree to a few of our terms. We agreed to continue diplomacy. And they said, well, we'll see what happens. But right now, they're continuing to send a barrage of missiles back and forth. So, Mike Pompeo, which I thought Mike Pompeo quit, but he's been there now all this time. He said that President Trump is mindful that Islamic State might begin to rise up again because of this. And he said he's describing the decision to pull out of Syria. I think he's changed his idea on that because his senior advisors and individuals started persuading him to not do that, saying that would have been a bad decision to do that. But the U.S. military has taken custody of 2 British Islamic State individuals known as the Beatles. Interesting. We'll see how all of this goes. They targeted, they hit 181 targets of terror organizations by air forces. So that's good that they're targeting and hitting terror organizations. So they claim that that's why they attacked in Syria, because they were targeting terror organizations. So maybe they do know what they're doing with this. Maybe they do know what they're doing. There's usually a strategy. There's usually a plan up their sleeve. So we'll see what happens with this Middle East unrest. I'll bring you the latest news if possible. Send your prayers and positive energy, because we definitely, if you can, feel free to leave a donation at the link provided below. And my email for this channel is below as well. Signing out. I love you all. I'll talk as soon as possible.